Welcome, everyone. Dr. Thor here. Get ready for Gnosis. Well, it appears that I'm the only one with the brain out there and the only one who knows how to do professional research. What you hear from so much out there is the complete and total lies, particularly what's happening with Europe, the American enemies. And basically, they always have been. They dragged us into wars time and time again with no consideration. We have basically been, they've been sucking off the American breast for 90 years now, never doing anything but take our money, take our protection without even the consideration of any kind of decent free trade or trade of any real amount. Well, all of Europe loves to buy, I guess, cheap oil from Russia. Um, their enemies, supposedly, but certainly the Germans have never been ultimately. And you got to remember, the Germans were originally allies with Russia until they attacked them. And they basically are one together since after World War II, the Russians and the East Germans have been butt buddies, working together, producing all sorts of plans to invade the West, which finally happened with the fake unification or the fact of Russia taking over all of Germany and most of Western Europe with their criminals and their infiltrators that for 50 years were trained what to do when the wall came down, which was the greatest error that could happen. Well, let's talk about the oil that's in Europe. Now, a lot of people talk about you think of oil, you think of in Europe, and who do you think of? Well, first of all, people don't know anything. Yes, Russia is a major oil producer of all sorts of minerals and everything else. It's a huge country with lots of natural resources that we need badly, or the world needs. And they have lots of gas and natural gas, etc., which apparently, for some reason or another, decide to sell cheaply to Europe, particularly to their friends and buddies, the Germans. So, otherwise known as Deutschlanders, or basically the Arab Persians, they are. But and I think everybody knows, and we've heard that so much lately. But one thing that's completely and totally ignored is the fact that Norway is a huge oil producer. They have trillions of dollars in cash in the bank, and there may be huge reserves off of Norway they've discovered recently. And they certainly do produce a plenty of oil and are very wealthy from it. But I'm assuming it's not as cheapy as Russia. So, and if we look at the figures here, we can see that they're actually producing less uh, um, uh, this year. I mean, last year, I guess, previous year from the previous year. But whatever all these figures mean, which is not that important based in November of 25, but who else in Europe? Well, it's interesting that there's an awful lot of oil being produced in Europe. We all forget the Scotland. Off of Scotland, there's oil reserves, the North Sea. I was unaware that Turkey even produces some. Apparently, even Italy and Denmark. Of course, Romania has been a producer of oil and particularly a major supplier for in World War II to the Nazis. Romania is an oil producer. I'm not sure what these rest of these countries here. They even say that Germany is producing something. They don't have any oil that I'm aware of, but they use certain rocks and so forth. Apparently, Hungary, the Netherlands, even Poland. These are people that are making small quantities of oil. Apparently, crude production, Europe. But we can look at the main ones. And of course, we have to keep Romania in there because Romania has always been producing oil and been a major place of oil production and has been was basically a Nazi country. You got to remember, there were nobody fighting against the Nazis except three countries: France, the UK, and the United States. Everybody else was fighting with them, period. So, what oil shortage do we have? Why are there problems? The problem is, particularly in Germany, is that they've been hooked to cheap oil that they should never been allowed to get that, and they shouldn't been pouring billions of dollars into their so-called enemy, the Russians. They were never all that stable. But the bottom line is that that's what you run into as the problems here when you have a fake economy based on all that fake. Why Russia was selling stuff cheap, I don't know, but so-called allies should be buying oil from fellow Europeans, or at the very least, buying their oil from the United States. But you can't keep their fake economy going, which generates trillions of dollars that are put in pretty much Swiss Nazi bank accounts, and none of it goes to their infrastructure to anything else. And you also, that's why you have Germans on every square foot of this world, and they all seem to have lots of money because the whole system is rigged. And that's what happens. They get supported. Their entire pay system has always been the lowest in Europe, or one of the lowest. And of course, they've buffered that by making sure the cost of living, food, housing, etc., was lower, so that they could pay their people more and make these billions of dollars in their fake businesses that have been subsidized. First, subsidized by cheap Russian oil. Second, subsidized by trillions of dollars that were spent on their defense that came out of the taxpayers' pockets of the Americans. So there is no oil shortage in Europe. And the people that are out there and producing things, particularly Norwegians who are filthy rich, and 13% or 19% of their oil goes to Germany. But the point is, if people need more oil, they should be producing more of it. They have much of it. And there are new discoveries there as well. And they should be ramping up production in the North Sea, in Romania, especially. So there's oil everywhere that people need to start actually accessing for their own European continent. But you've heard different, haven't you? You don't know nothing. You live in the world of disinformation, the urban legend of all the mouthpiece liars that are on YouTube and other places, and you buy all their stuff without doing any type of research. So the bottom line is they never should have been getting cheap oil to begin with. The Russians should have been making much higher profits, and they certainly, if they had a problem, they should be going to their buddies. After all, Norway's been in the pocket of the Deutsches, the Germans, since World War II, where they sent thousands of troops to the Nazis. These are people that are despicable in their own way, and obviously doing nothing to assist the problems in Europe and the shortages they have there as well. And of course, the UK is claiming that they have all sorts of energy shortages now. Well, what's happening to all that oil from Scotland? Huh? And what about getting more oil from Norway? It's not like they don't have oil and they're dependent upon the United States or the Middle East. And certainly they're not going to buy anything from the United States. That would really go against them, wouldn't be? Why should they support their allies? After all, we're there to die for them, to spend trillions of dollars, and of course for them to sell us all their crap products at super high prices. Yeah, the suckers, the Americans. And anybody listen to this that's an American, you need to wake up and understand who the true enemies are. And that is these fake allies that have never done anything and have participated in nothing. Norway has 6 to 8 million people. That's it. There's 20 million people in Los Angeles County alone. This is the kind of nonsense. So there's approximately 40 million people in Scandinavia, period. It's a piss in the ocean, and they've done absolutely nothing except, again, how much can they bleed from us? And Denmark, who now wants to sell us their toxic drugs for $1,000, which they sell to the Europeans for $20. This is the reality. They are your enemies. Wake up. Plain and simple. But Americans are too stupid. You're not an American. Aren't you a hyphenated American? Aren't you a Irish American? What came first there? Huh? Aren't you whatever? You're a Mexican American? What came first there? So the whole idea is that you destroyed your own country. When somebody comes in and tries to do some good work and take care of Americans like Trump, nothing happens positive. The man is attacked for trying to get criminals out of the country, have no business doing here. And let's talk about that issue for one. In the 1920s, during the Depression, the U.S. military went into California particularly, put a whole bunch of illegal aliens on planes and cars and trucks and sent them back to their country. That's right. That's what happened before, but you don't know the history of anything. You're living in a delusion of all the rotten traitors who don't work for a unified America so that Americans can prosper and get ahead. And you're the only ones in the world that do that. Everybody else doesn't. Secondly, there are no Americans at work in the American embassy. You can't get a job on an American military base. Wake up, people. Your own country is doing this to you because you allow it. Those are the real issues. Those are the things that have to be happening. So this false thing, there's no oil out there. Oh, there's no cheap oil, you mean? Cheap rot gut oil that the Russians have. And certainly that can be easily replaced. There's a glut of oil all over the world. And they're going to get what they deserve now, as what happens with happens with Iran here, where they refuse to do anything to keep the oil flowing and have turned down Trump for even minesweepers that the pretty babies who should be speaking German now. And we should ask that, yeah, isn't that special, huh? Little UK boys. Of course, you always were basically Germans. That's what Anglo-Saxons are. Anglo-Saxons are Aryans who are Iranians. You get all that? See, that's just the facts, people. So it's unbelievable of the nonsense. The actual Welsh flag has a red dragon fighting a white dragon, and the white dragon symbolized the Anglo-Saxons against the Welsh, who are Celtic. Now, the Anglo-Saxons, which are basically German Arabs. This is the facts. People don't want to do this. Is just plain and simple, but you're just dumb if you don't know this. It's about time you educate yourself. This is the facts. Go look at all the oil that's available in Europe, and they're crying they don't have anything. This is all a game. This is a game so that the Russians and the Germans can arm themselves to the teeth and take over Europe in another 15 to 20 years. This is the reality that's coming, and you need to wake up. Plain and simple. Until next time.